Good afternoon, guys. Time for another back to school with Ignite rather than breakfast with Ignite this week. What we're going to be doing is off the back of last week's, what I think was very exciting product updates on the beta platform. We had two big updates last week, which added so much functionality to the platform. It was amazing. The big one, of course, was the ratings engine, which immediately started to cause questions as to how it was working and why five-star ratings didn't automatically generate a 5-star review, etc. And I said to you guys, I'm going to show you how, I'm going to show you why, getting on the platform and doing that in real time so you can see how it all works. So we're going to dive straight in. The way we're going to do this is I'm going to introduce you to our internal test platform. This isn't the actual beta platform. It looks very similar. It's our internal test platform. I have two accounts open here. So I have a test account on the left here that has a reputation of 3.6, which is actually very low in terms of, you guys that have been using the beta. Some of you got up to 100, couple of hundred even, before we did the recent reputation wipe. But you can get there again. It's easy. You can do it. And then on the right hand side, we've got another user who's got a reputation of 6. Now, within our ecosystem currently, because it's our internal test platform, we don't have that many users. If you remember the bell curve that I drew in the last back to school that we did, explaining how influence is determined depending on where on the bell curve you sit in terms of your reputation within the ecosystem. This user on the right, although they've only got a reputation of 6, actually puts them in the 100th percentile. So you'll see that the weighting that this user is afforded on the system is effectively 100%. Whereas this account on the left only has a reputation of 3.6, and I know, purely because I've just tested it before we've started filming this video, that this influencer's weighting, his influence, his sway should be at about 80% of the maximum. So again, it's the curve. It depends where you sit on the curve as to how much influence you have, whether it's 100% of your reputation or 80% or 60% or 40%, etc. It's a little bit more to it than that. That's the very high level version. Okay, so let's dive straight in. Let's start by, let's leave a rating for new asset. So we'll do this with our user that we know is reputable, but not necessarily 100% reputable. And again, please excuse all the testing jargon. This is our test platform. It's not the beta. Our beta has much more highbrow and intelligent comments in it than simply testing. But let me find an asset that hasn't received any ratings yet. Okay, we'll go for anything. Obiz coin, smart process bot. Don't know what it is. I'm not endorsing it. It's in the system, hasn't had any ratings yet, so I'm going to use it as a test case. So we're going to leave. We're going to submit a rating. So we hit the submit a rating button. I'll leave it for the team. I'll give it 5 stars. That's obviously the maximum score. We'll show you sway in action. So I'll put that 7 days, and just to be annoying, I'm going to do another testing type post. So we'll post that. Now what will happen is that on the beta platform, this should be pretty much real time. On our test platform, it actually updates every minute or so. So shortly we'll see star rating generated, and we'll see the user sway generated as well. We'll be right back. And through the magic of videography, instantly we're back, and you can see that as predicted, because I knew that this handsome bearded fellow who's fairly reputable, but he's not quite at the top of the tree, and I know that his influence, his factor for influence for sway is currently basically 80%. But while he's the only rater on this asset currently, so he's got 100% sway, he's got 100% of the influence available on this asset, his 5-star rating only actually generates a 4-star rating for the asset. Now, it's important to note at this point, obviously this is our test platform. We've dialed out any suggestion of critical mass needing to be hit, etc. So one rating will generate an asset rating. On the beta platform, it doesn't work like that. We need critical mass, although at the minute critical mass is based on a number of users rather than actually a reputation-based critical mass. That's a separate video. We'll do all that again in the future. But for now, you can see that here's my little guy giving his 5-star rating, but it's generated a 4-star review because he's not as reputable as this young lady over here. So if we try and do exactly the same thing for, let's go to the same asset. It was Obiz coin, and she's going to leave a rating now. She's going to leave for product, why not? She's also going to leave a 5-star rating, and she's going to say, I am also testing. And there we go. So in goes her rating as well. Now again, because it's our test platform, the cron doesn't run in real time, it runs every couple of minutes. When you come back in a second, you'll see that the rating will have adjusted, and you'll see that this user's sway is going to be different to this user's sway. Okay? So, again, we're back, and you can see now my right-hand screen here with the female avatar that her 5-star rating has actually now bumped the rating for this particular asset up to 4.5. I've not refreshed my screen on the left-hand side, so you can see that when it was just the handsome bearded fellow having left the 5-star review, that the overall asset rating was 4 stars. Now that this more reputable user, who I explained before, has actually got 100% weighting for the purposes of this test, has added a 5-star review, that's bumped the score up to 4.5. So you have a weighted 5-star review here below, which effectively is 4 stars, because I explained that the weighting, again, set for this test video is 80%. And we have 100% weighting for the most recent rater. So the average of those two, obviously, the average of 100% of 5 and 80% of 5, which equals 4, the average is 4.5. Simple. So that's the maths. The other thing to point out is that obviously, because this user is more reputable, she's taken more of the sway. Now, if I do refresh my screen on this side and reselect Ober's coin, because it's not actually, there we go, you'll see that this handsome bearded fellow's reputation, sway, must remember to keep using the word sway within this particular asset has now dropped to 37.5, because somebody who's more reputable is taking a bigger chunk of the sway that's available. They're having more of a say as to whether or not the index should be investing in this asset, whether or not this asset is a 4.5-star rated asset or a 5-star rated asset or what have you. The system works this way for a very, 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 very good reason. And that's that we do not want to create a system whereby anyone, a new user, can come along, create an account with the minimum amount of Ignite, whatever that might be, we've not set that yet, and basically shill any number of scam projects they want, 5-star ratings, 5-star ratings, 5-star ratings. I've put an example here. So here's one we made earlier. So Transcodium, I did exactly that. We set up a new account where brand new user, 0 reputation, they've left a 5-star rating for the asset, which is enough to actually, I'm not logged into that account so you can't see right now, but it's enough to actually show the user that they've got 100% sway, which they do, but their sway is 0. So the actual overall star rating is 0. So a new user, absolutely brand new user with no reputation, leaving a 5-star rating, you can see, has no influence on the actual overall asset rating, which is exactly how it should be. So there we go. So there's not much more to explain in terms of that. Obviously, what we've done here is the most basic test we can, which is 2 users, different reputation. Now, obviously, if you want to take this to the next level, I could have my 80% influence user over here start leaving reviews of our 100% user, and you would see that my reviews would influence her reputation, but only to the tune of 80% again. It's exactly the same as the asset. Whereas if we were to do things the other way around with this user over here, and to leave a star rating for the handsome bearded chap, you would see that 100% of what she was saying would feed through to my reputation on the left-hand side, because she's currently, as the test is set up, she has 100% weighting in the system. Okay, so now having done that, having shown you how different reputation users will influence a rating in different ways, generate their sway in different ways, and how it's important to have that differentiation between a low reputation user and a high reputation user, and the fact that you want the high reputation guys having more influence, and you want the low reputation guys building up the reputation so they're having more influence. There's not much to say other than obviously you've seen it at work at the asset rating level. Your reputation also influences the reputation of others. So if you're leaving reviews of other people's ratings, it works exactly the same way. The more reputable you are, the more weight and influence you will have on that user's reputation when reviewing one of their ratings. It's that simple. Yeah, and I think hopefully that's answered more questions than it's raised. But obviously, if you do have questions, that's also fine. Leave them below. We've got a comment section below. It's lonely at the minute. There's probably not a lot in it as you're watching this. Put something in there. Ask a question. We'll come back to them in a later episode. We'll answer your questions as we dive into more detail, as we dive into looking at maybe how users influence each other's reputation, looking into how this all meshes together when you get a number of users. The best thing for you guys to do is get back onto the beta platform and see it working in real time. See it working when you've got 10, 20, 30 people reviewing each other's ratings or rating an asset, etc. But for now, I think we're done here. So have a good weekend, because I think we're going into the weekend now, and see you next time. Cheers. Bye.